How are you, Brandon?
Good, Jim. How are you?
Not too bad, mate.
Oh, good. Hi, Beta. How do I
Hello.
put it? Hi, how you going?
Very good. Thank
Oh,
you.
good. Good.
Mm.
Welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll just wait a few more minutes for people to join and we'll see how we go.
Mm.
How are you guys going anyway?
Not too
A
bad
bit early
for
in the morning for me. Sorry, Brandon.
Yeah, it's
evening.
early in the morning for me too. It's like just gone 6:30, so it's
9:30 for me
9:30. Yeah.
in
That's
the
why I thought
evening.
in the evening. Yeah. I know I mentioned Ty's just coming on now, and I know last time we had it at 10:30. So it was a bit late. Good evening, Ty.
Hey, Brandon. Hi, how are you doing? Hey, everyone.
Good. How are you?
Yeah, not so bad, thank you. Grateful for the earlier hour.
Yeah, it gets a bit hard to pay attention when it gets too late, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does a little bit, but it's earlier for you too. So it's what, 6:30, 7:30 in the morning?
6:30 in the morning here.
Oh my goodness, bless you for that. I appreciate it.
I was up at 5, so if I have a few bags under my eyes, that's why. I was like, okay, got to get everything organized, have breakfast and
I know. But look how bright and sunny it is. I'm envious.
Oh yeah. No, it's looking like a beautiful day coming up actually.
Yeah.
But it's cold for us here. It's like 17 degrees, so I got my jacket on and
Poor guy.
Yeah.
But here on the other side of the planet, we have a different sense of cold right now.
That's right. Yeah, different idea of cold. Good morning, John. How are you?
Good morning. Good to finally meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you too. I hear you had a good course with Art.
Yeah, no, it was excellent. Can't wait to get my hands on everybody I can.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, that's the way. It's the way to learn. Is just, get your hands on as many people as possible because people are so different from one another. Like obviously you learn the techniques and what to do, but then the art form is applying it to each individual and working with each particular person.
Yeah.
And there's always that's always a new thing. Every person's new, so it's just building the bridge of trust and just working with each individual. It makes it always interesting too, because we're not just doing a routine. To me, it's always like a problem to be solved, or or something. Somebody obviously to be helped, but we have to think about how we can make our massage suit the person. I always say make the massage suit the person, not the person suit the massage. Because a lot of massage therapists do routines, and it's just same bunch of techniques for everybody.
Yeah.
Good morning, Juanita. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Oh,
Sorry,
good.
I'm late. I've been juggling.
No, that's okay.
dogs.
We've still got a few people coming.
Brilliant, thank you. Yeah, I've had a great week. I've been referred to a couple of people who've done some mountain bikers. We tend to
fantastic.
tend to crash into trees and damage their bodies. And they've been having great success with the massage. They said they had no joy with sports massage, with other massages. They tend to go to chiropractors, but they've actually had good success. So I'm really chuffed.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Great to hear. Well, I think we'll get started. People can join as they come. Oops, let me just go back onto here, and I will get this. So I'll put this on full screen. There we go, full screen. Okay, cool. So I thought I'd just see, rather than go through everybody again like we did last week, just if you can put your hand up if you have some pressing questions or something you'd like me to kind of discuss in more depth. I know Ty emailed me with some, but could you elaborate upon your question that you emailed me with, Ty?
Sure. So there's a preface, first of all, which is that I completely agree with what you've just said, that in my question, I'm not looking for a technique to apply, and I'm not looking for a formula. But on our last call, you made a kind of throwaway comment in the middle of an explanation of something, Brandon, which was that stiff necks are often tied to control issues. And,
Yeah.
and that got me thinking, you know, for the benefit of others here, I'm very new to massage and Raynor massage. But I am trying to get my hands on as many people as possible. But it got me thinking that I wonder if there are other provisional diagnostic lenses like that, you know, things that are to do with the body that set, as a practitioner, set your mind thinking along a certain path, knowing that you have to test as you go, knowing that everybody is an individual body and soul. But are there things that are, you know, general kind of rules of thumb, like, you know, sore necks are tied to control issues? In my email, I was sharing that I often have stomach issues, nothing serious, but I know that I'm really sore neck, really keep a lot there. So my interest really comes from that sort of sense of knowing as a coach in my day job that there are certain things that are indicative and predictive sometimes of how people respond and interact. And I'm wondering if you've got within your diagnostic framework anything similar.
Yeah, it's a great question, actually, like looking at the psychosomatic side of things. And yes, definitely. So things like tight hips, for example, often can relate to repressed anger or frustration. You know, in shiatsu, in Chinese medicine, there's a meridian called the Gallbladder Meridian that runs through the hips. And that often relates to, you know, frustration, impatience, resentment, that sort of thing. And I often find that, you know, like say, for example, putting an elbow into the hip, but, you know, more importantly, probably is working that entire outer little toe band, often leads to people, you know, anger coming up for people and frustration. And I find if people have a good scream, that's a great way to release that tension. And if they don't, sometimes they won't release the tension, which is interesting, you know, because if the emotion doesn't come out, the tension stays. So there was a whole system of healing or particular thing called primal screaming, which was popular in the 1970s and still is around. And I learned a lot from that when I was doing integrative breath therapy, of being able to let go of emotions, in particular anger, because anger is a difficult one for people to own sometimes. You know, sometimes it's embarrassing to have a scream or to let out anger, you know, and, you know, people are taught, oh, it's bad to be angry. I don't accept that. You know, I mean, it's bad to hold on to it if it's not helpful. Sometimes anger can be very useful, you know. If somebody's breaking into your house, for example, you know, you need to get a bit angry, you know, in order to protect your boundaries. So anger, actually, the healthy use of anger is to protect boundaries. But when we hold on to it, you know, if we've been angry, you know, when we were 15 and we're now 50, you know, it's no longer good. And the people that caused us that anger, you know, probably well and truly out of our lives. So yeah, definitely working the hips. And what I find is underneath anger is usually sadness. So sometimes you can't release a whole series of emotional blockages unless you release the first layer first, which would be things like anger. So sometimes I've been working on somebody, for example, and working into their belly, and I feel like things get stuck and nothing's moving, you know, and then I'll come to the hips and, you know, maybe work that entire band and then get that anger out of the person. And then you come back to the belly and then they're able to cry. And then a huge release happens and the whole body lets go. So.
And I recognize some of that in the coaching work, in that very often some clients work through anger and they get to grief, and they work through grief and they get to love, and it's like dropping through layers of reactivity. And Brandon, what about particular physical conditions? Might they have like emotional or energetic correlates, you know, like arthritis, for example, is something that I've come across quite recently. Are there any kind of rules of thumb around those sorts of physical conditions as well?
Well, as you mentioned in your email, and you know, one of the kind of leaders in the field of this psychosomatic medicine is Louise Hay, and I've always found her, you know, information about the body. I think it's You Can Heal Your Life. She has a book. She's passed away now, but I found her stuff very interesting. So stuff like arthritis might be, you know, inflexibility. That kind of thing, you know, and she's got, like, I often will look up a condition using her knowledge just to give me some insights as to what it is and that sort of thing. So I'd highly recommend, you know, just, like something, if you're not sure about, just you can just Google it, Louise Hay, and, cancer, Louise Hay, whatever it may be, right? And it might give you some insights into the correlation between the mind, emotions, and the physical body.
I have it in front of me here. Arthritis.
Cool.
Louise Hay from her
Yep.
book. Probable cause: feeling unloved, criticism, resentment. And then she gives a new thought pattern. I am love. I now choose to love and approve of myself. I see others with love.
Yeah.
If others don't know, if you Google Louise Hay list of symptoms, you'll come to a page which actually lists a lot of stuff. And so I've been guided by that and helped by that a few times, Brandon. And I was wondering, from the perspective of the deeply embodied work that you do, how do you draw on this? It's great to know that you also draw on sources like Louise Hay, but have you found recurring patterns as you work in your way with people?
Yes, absolutely. And that's why I touched on this last week, but one of the first goals, in my opinion, of advanced Raynor massage, when we're really trying to excavate a person from tension, is to get rid of that control mentality in the person. And that's why most of the time I will start with a head massage in order to, relax that conscious attempt at controlling, which is more in the mind. Because a lot of tension is subconscious. And when we look at subconscious tension, we're going to find that more in the abdomen in particular, but also in the hips. Like I was saying, with anger, it tends to be more in the hips, whereas anxiety and things like that tends to be in the belly. And sometimes, I was going to touch on this too, is you'll feel somebody's like big toe belly band as it goes beside the belly button. And you can, in some people with extreme anxiety, you can actually feel a pulse in there. Whenever I feel a pulse in there, I know that there's a lot of emotion trapped in there, and it's usually anxiety, but it's also self-worth issues is what I find. And that's why I find the big toe belly band to be such an important band. You'll find that people in particular that are trying to portray a particular image to the world about who they are. So, some people feel like, and you'll see it with young people in particular, people that are maybe lacking in deep self-confidence about who they are, and then I got to be pretty, I got to be handsome, I got to be this, I got to be that, which is maybe not who they really are, because they're worried about not being accepted. And I find that manifests really strongly in the big toe belly band right beside the belly button, and it's a cause of great anxiety for people. And getting that out is incredible transformation that people have. Sometimes I call it even like people can have like a rock in the belly. Sometimes, like if it's pulsing in terms of like you can feel the pulse through there, then it's like means that it's really close to the surface. But if it's like a rock in the belly, then it's kind of something that's probably been there for quite a few years. And it's something that in the person's sort of psychological development and growth, they've been actually scared to really be themselves because of, like kind of like a fear of not being accepted, because deep down underneath, with people, I see that there's certain fears that are very common that people have. Fear of death and fear of time, which is, again, a fear of lack of control. People want to bring that control in because they're scared of dying and they're scared of the effects of time. But the other one is social ostracism. So many people change like who they are in order to be accepted by other people. And you'll really find that manifesting in that big toe belly band in particular, right beside the belly button. And I find that probably one of the most incredible and, transformative areas to work on with people when it's tight, but that's almost always what I see there. It's like, is that self-acceptance. It's that, and like I say, I see it more commonly sort of in young people in particular who they've got with the social media thing and everything going on today. And it's kind of like, like a particular idea of beauty or a particular idea of what it means to be cool or whatever. People are conforming to that rather than just being true to themselves. And for me, one of the most important aspects of psychological, spiritual health is to be true to yourself. It's to be in touch with your core. And that to me is like the core. And so when you've got tension there, it's like a mask And people are scared sometimes about being themselves because they're going to wonder, oh, will I be accepted if I am myself? So it's an amazing, some of the most amazing emotional releases I've ever seen have been due to the big toe belly band. And one of the ways we start that treatment then is to relax the mind. Okay, so we relax the mind, then we might come in, get integrative breath therapy happening where we're just, you know, doing the working with the belly and getting people deep breathing, and then we might work the ends of the band, so coming with chopsticks into the big toes, and then start to bring that energy up. But we need, when we're bringing that energy up that's trapped, we need that person to be in a state of mind where they're in a non-judgmental frame of mind of their own emotions, you know, and their self in a sense, you know. And so then we bring that up and it comes out, and it can come out as a huge release of some, you know, dark energy or whatever it may be that's stopping the person from being their true self. So I find that one of the most core things that underlies a lot of people, but of course not everybody. If somebody doesn't have tightness beside their belly button, then of course it's virtually, it's irrelevant, right? So not everybody has this condition, but I would say at least 20% of the people I've ever worked on maybe have it to an extreme, fairly strong degree, and a whole lot, and another 10 or 20% have it to a milder degree. So quite a large percentage of people. That one is, like I say, that idea of self-worth is to me underneath the core of a lot of other issues, you know, because you can have like an emotional issue, but you have another emotional issue underneath that, you know, and that one of just being able to go, I am basically happy with who I am, is a core of psychological and emotional health, in my opinion. So it's a tricky one to work with, though, especially when you're not used to people having emotional releases and things like that, because it's like you got to be able to be I call it the eye in the hurricane. You know, when you got a hurricane or a cyclone or what have you, then there's a certain center of calmness in the middle, and there can be a whole lot going on around. And so as a therapist, we have to be like that eye in the hurricane, in a sense, where we're steady inside of ourselves while people are having quite strong emotional releases, and we can be comfortable with it. We're not like trying to be part of the you know, repressing you know, aspect to it, because some people, you know, like in life, a lot of people repress other people's emotions. Oh, don't let that come out. But as a therapist, we're actually there to encourage it to come out, and we're not, you know, we're not trying to tell that person, oh, don't let that go or whatever, you know? So I think that's one of the most important things. It's like, because with this kind of work, a person needs to feel, especially when they let go of control, that people can feel a bit like, where's my stability? Where's my, you know, where's my shelter in this world of you know, time and death and you know, emptiness for a lot of people, you know? I mean, that's why we got such high rates of depression, anxiety, suicide, and things like that. There's so much, you know, people feeling empty. And so we got to be there as a strength, you know, that they can be like, hey, I can let go and I'm solid. So, you know, there's several aspects to that, but I find that when we're talking about like emotional releases and letting go, to be like a core element, you know. But no matter what we're looking at, whether we're looking at other bands, whether we're looking at the hips, it's again about relaxing the conscious mind, because the conscious mind is also filled with what I call thought viruses. And thought viruses can be things like men don't cry, or it can be something like women shouldn't be angry, or, you know, Japanese people should be this way. You know, it's basically, it can be a cultural thing, it can be a racial thing, it can be a sexual thing, it can be whatever. As somebody's telling you who you should be, basically. And that lives in here. So if you have a thought virus saying men don't cry, and you're a man, or you're in a man's body, I should say, then you might go, oh, I feel this emotion coming up, like when somebody might be working on your toes or your belly, but I got to push it down because I'm a man and men don't cry. And so we need to, that's very difficult in some cultures, you know, especially it's a strong one in most Anglo-Saxon cultures. You'll find Australia, England, America, Canada, with people from Northern European backgrounds, you know. And that can be the cause. That's why we have huge rates of suicide. Like in Australia, men have like 4.6 times the rate of suicide as women, because there's a a stigma about letting go of emotion. So people would, a lot of the men would rather kill themselves than do that. So it's very dangerous, and there's a lot of obviously depression, suicide. So we try our best to relax that, get them breathing, and then go, hey, just let it go. If you feel it, let it go. And that's what I'm talking about with a non-judgmental frame of mind. So like for all of them, instead of me kind of necessarily like always dealing with each particular emotion on a specific level, when we're looking at releasing emotion, we need to let go of that that attempt for the mind here to control. And that's what I deal with a lot in my advanced course. I call it the head-belly connection. And if we look at our belly as being like our subconscious, and our head as being our conscious, then we have this connection. Sorry,
Who's that?
I'm just going to mute you there, Christy, because we can hear a bit of noise. Yeah, so we've got to look at that connection between the head and the belly. And that's what it really comes down to. And that's where that breathing, and it's what they talk about in Ayurvedic medicine. There's a central energy channel called the Sushumna, which is containing the 7 different chakras. And some people believe there's more, but again, it's irrelevant, because what we're doing is getting people to breathe deep into their belly. There's a point in Chinese medicine called the Dantian, which is just below the belly button. We get people to breathe deep into there and just let go of whatever it is that's stopping them from being true to themselves. So that's the process of release, rather than necessarily like microanalyzing each particular emotion. It's that same one of not judging the emotions. Like, you are not your emotion. Like if you've got rage, you are not rage. That's the important thing too, is to distinguish between yourself and the emotion, because during the process of healing, one's going to go, which could be crying. It could be anger, and you're going to be left as that, like you were saying, underneath it is that pure form of love, which is basically the true nature of the person. We're spiritual energy, and in our healthiest form, we're just emanating that connection with ourselves and our connection with our heart and love. And that is then the healthy, that's like, it's like filling up this whole body with the light, the spiritual light of the person emanating all through themselves, and getting rid of anything that's dark, and that's what I try and get people to do with even a breathing meditation before, sometimes for people to learn how to breathe, because this is so much a partnership model of medicine that we're doing, and the breathing is so important. I always say we as the therapist are a servant to the breath. It's not, we've always got to make sure we don't come into like an egotistical thing. I'm healing this person, it's like we are working together to get rid of your tension. And one of the things that the person has to do is have a non-judgmental frame of mind and deep breathe. And we can assist that, but we can't force that. You could work on some people, certain people in, like, I've noticed that here in Australia with some of the men in the older generation, where it's like, even my own father, he's been so inculcated into that idea that men don't cry. It's like, for him, I could do a head massage, I could do everything, but that thought virus is so lodged in there, or it was. He's now had some strokes in different dimension. That's completely changed him. But previous to that, it was like he wasn't going to let go. Time has made him let go of things, but it's sort of like people have to be a green light, and they have to go, yes, I want to let go of whatever it is that's not me, and that whatever it is that's holding me back. And that's a key thing, but we cannot give that person. We can encourage the old idea of you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink, is really important here as well, right? So but if they are keen and they want to let go and they want to transform, then that's how we do it. Head massage first, assisted belly breathing, and then come into whatever band it is. And that's where we have to analyze which band it is, make the massage suit the person again. So I hope that it's a big subject, but it's an individual thing. Do you know what I mean? But that's a sort of a general thing. And then what I see a lot, like I say, especially with emotional release, is that big toe belly band. So really feeling that area right beside the belly button, and seeing how tight is it. Is there like a feeling like a pulse going through there? That sort of thing, in terms of your diagnosis and that. But for everything, you know, it's like I say, during my, you know, my development as a therapist, you know, I still remember the one time I realized how important a head massage was, and to start with it was I was working on this person, and they were all, you know, tickly and jumpy. And then at the end, I did a head massage, and finally they relaxed. And I was like, well, now this would actually be a nice time to work on them. And so now gradually I changed it, you know, from finishing with a head massage to often starting with a head massage. And again, of course, that depends on the person, and I don't do that every time, because some people might have just had their hair done or whatever, and they don't want a head massage. But in general, when we're looking at deeper levels of healing, you know, and especially when we're looking at that emotional level, I think doing a head massage and then doing assisted belly breathing and seeing, and then that's where then the neck comes in, and the neck is in the middle between the conscious mind, the head, and the belly. And if the neck is tight, then it controls, and it doesn't allow that flow between the two areas. And that's where I do a lot of neck manipulations and things. And, you know, obviously it's controversial, and I'm only going to be teaching that at advanced levels, but it opens up that channel and allows things to come out. I've seen people have huge emotional releases from it. But like I say, in certain countries, it's quite controversial because they want to monopolize it with chiropractors and physios and things like that.
Brandon, when you talk initially about starting with head, and I really get that, you know, rationale for doing that. Sometimes when I've had Raynor massage and I've been receiving it, you know, it's hurt like hell, and it's that it hasn't relaxed me at an obvious level. So do you mean that when you begin a massage that you should do like probably a lighter, more soothing head massage just to drop the person into a deeper state of relaxation? And if you're coming back to the head and where the bands connect in the head, then go deeper? Or is it fine just to start with deeper work at the head at the beginning?
It really depends on the person. So the level of depth you're going to work, you know, like we always adjust our pressure to suit the person, but the goal of the head massage should be to relax that person and put them into a deeper state of consciousness. So if you're going, you know, if you say, for example, for yourself, if you're particularly tight in your head and you got a lot of, you know, blocked energy in there, if somebody goes too deep and it just hurts, it's not actually going to put you into a more relaxed state. So the best approach is to do a once over, but it should be putting you into a more relaxed state. Okay, so whatever pressure is necessary, it might be, if we look at pressure on a scale of 1 to 10 for you, it might be a 2, 3, you know, and then we do the assisted belly breathing, then we might come back to the head. So I don't just start with a head massage. I often do a head massage throughout it. You know, I'll come back and do a couple more minutes on the head and then finish off with a head massage. And it's all about, again, gradually building up. So people can be like what I call a pressure cooker. You know, and the pressure cooker will manifest as tension manifests. It can be pushed up into the head. So we need to take that extra pressure out from the head. But if you go too hard on somebody that's quite tight, like from what you've described in your experience there, it wasn't relaxing, you were saying, when somebody worked on your head. Therefore, I would have suggested going lighter for you. Yeah, it's like Rome wasn't built in a day, and excavating, you know, what I call excavating a person, it's not just always a quick thing, right? It can take, you know, 10, 40 hours. So we got to pace it out rather than trying to get too much done. But, you know, you might have a lot of tension built, you know, you look kind of tight in some ways. You might have a lot of tension that's built up there over time, you know? So the approach is to take it, but it shouldn't, like a little bit of, you know, soreness. And, you know, I work a lot in here in particular, like where those bands and the eyebrows are, and I try and pull energy out from this area here, pull it this way, and I'll come up the forehead, work here. I'll get into the jaw points, so where the TMJ is, and these points here and these points here really relate. So I'll work in between those two, which is the ears. There's a whole system of ear reflexology that, you know, people have developed, but most important thing is then to get that person to kind of sink into a deeper state of consciousness. So if a head massage isn't doing that, then we would come to the belly. How tight is your belly, Ty?
I don't think that my belly is too tight, actually. It's not too bad. I mean, my neck is where I hold tension. Okay. And there's always, it is never yet been kind of completely released. And doing kind of, you know, neck clicks just doesn't work on me. It's just way too painful. But relative to my belly's a bit more supple, a bit more in touch. There's more rigidity, shoulders up.
Mm.
Hands need a
So-
Raynor Massage.
Yeah, I was going to say, you know, like it sounds to me, you know, like there's a lifetime of tension there, and you know, like the best way is just to take it at a pace that you can handle. And then I would sit in there and certainly be doing your hands, your feet, you know, like you always look, I always have like a strategy and a plan, and doesn't always work according to my strategy and plan, you know, because we got to work with each individual. So for example, if working on a head massage with you, if everything's too painful, well, let's go to the arms, let's go here. We're always trying to find a way that we're going to make progress with that person, from getting them from where they might be a particular level of tightness. Yeah, okay, see you later, Laura. Nice to see you. Okay. You know, whatever way we can make progress from where that person's at to where we want them to be. You know, if we got that, this is where they're at, this is where we want them to be, at a point where there is absolutely no chronic residual tension in their body. That's the goal for everybody, right? That might take 40 hours of work to get there. You know, it could take 10 hours. It could take 100 hours, you know, certain people, it depends on so many factors, you know. But that's where we're trying to get to, and how we get there. There's no point in getting rigid in our way of thinking about it. We want to make progress, you know. So that's what I would say is figure out what's going to work, you know.
Yeah, it's really,
There
really.
may be some sort of core issue that we get to, and we may get to that on the 5th treatment. We may get to that on the 1st treatment, you know. But as long as we're making progress towards completely getting rid of the chronic residual tension, then to me that's success. Yeah.
Thank you. It's a really full answer.
Yeah, no problem. Does anybody else have any questions while we're here? Hi, Christy, how are you? Oh, it looks like it's connecting again for her. Hi, Dash, how you going?
Good.
Good. Welcome.
Thanks.
Yeah, has anybody got any questions that they've been thinking of?
I do have one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's quite I don't know if it's a basic question or not. It's regarding the bands. I just wanted to find out a bit more about the bands, what bands they are.
Yeah.
And where do they, I mean, I've seen the diagrams of where they actually go and where they flow into the body. And I've done some traditional Thai massage. I did a traditional Thai massage course a long time ago, and I think it's is it the same thing?
No. So in traditional Thai massage, they have what they call Sen Lines, and they run straight, and they run a bit different than meridians. So the bands or tension are ones that you can physically feel, but sometimes they are actually the same as the Sen Lines or part of them, but they're not completely that way. So they're not the same as meridians. We have drawn a lot of our knowledge from there, but they're ones that you should be able to physically feel. So they're not just a theory or something, you know, where somebody said that these exist, that you should learn to physically feel all of the bands. That's one of the key components, I think, of good, even basic Raynor massage, you know. But I'd recommend getting a chart. We have, I got a bunch of charts printed. You're welcome to get one. I have they're about, I think, $40 or $50 plus postage. I'd have one up on the wall, and I'd make sure you really get to feel these different bands on everybody, you know, because everybody's got the bands. They might run very slightly different on each individual. And some people, they're right on the surface. Some people, they're much deeper. But I think it's like when you're learning to play guitar or something like that. You know, you need to learn your chords first, and then you can make music afterward. I think as a practitioner of Raynor Massage, it's very important to really know these bands, because these are the components of where tension exists in the body. And knowing the ends of the bands then we can have that, like that domino effect, where we release the end of the band and then it continues up. So it's a key thing, I think, to really get to know these bands, but not just on a theoretical level, but you know, you need to feel them on 10, 50 people, you know, until they become second nature. And it's more important than remembering the names of the bands, because nobody else that you work on will remember the names of the bands is knowing where they run, knowing how to feel them, you know, and then assessing how tight are these bands, you know, because that's the key to designing a treatment in a sense. And to make the massage suit the person is, where is this person tight? And then you're planning your strategy. Well, how am I going to release it? So if they're tight in say, for example, the big toe belly band, then we might come to the very tip of the big toe and work with fine detailed chopstick work or something like that to release that. Okay, sorry, Christy, did you say something? Oh, yeah, I'll just something else. Okay. Yeah, so I think that's really, really important. Know where the bands are. The bands, so when we're looking at tension, there's two ways to release it. There's us working as the therapist on the band and, you know, coming to the end of the band and really working it step by step. And then there's releasing it from the inside for the person, which is where the deep breath and the kind of making sure we're in a, you know, relaxed frame of mind. Just deep breathing, you know, and that can really help us release tension in the band. So when we have a good combination of the person who's receiving the massage, doing deep breathing in a non-judgmental frame of mind and allowing whatever it is that's causing that tension to release, plus a good therapist who's tuned into that person, working as a servant of the breath on the bands to find and get rid of that tension, then that's where what I call the magic really happens. And a person becomes an incredible therapist by working in that way of finding that tension, getting rid of it, but in the partnership model of medicine. But again, like I say, I definitely think having a chart of the bands up on your wall is a great thing, because it can, one, for your own knowledge in case you forget or something, or you're wanting to get a bit of guidance of where to look for the band. But it's also good for your clients because they get to understand this is an established body of knowledge. And it's not just you coming up with an idea, it's a lot of people's thought and experience have gone into it. But yeah, definitely, you know, where I've learned a lot from receiving Thai massage. I've learned a lot from, you know, learning Thai massage, learning shiatsu, that sort of thing, all these different bands. But there's certainly ones that I've come up with myself, and they are slightly different than the Sen Lines. Especially, I don't know, like certainly in Thai massage, they don't go into the very ends of the bands you know, like working into the toes, you know, on a deep level. And my experience with Thai massage in Thailand has been too that they're not as into like deep breathing and emotional release. You know,
don't do any breathing, Brandon.
Yeah, that's what I experienced. If you deep breathe, I've had it even in Wat Po and place like that. Which is like the, you know, the temple of Thai massage. If you start deep breathing, they look at you weird and
yeah,
kind of,
100%.
you okay? It's like, yeah, I'm just deep breathing. So it's, and that can be a cultural thing, you know, both in Thailand and Japan. You know, there's a certain culture about keeping a particular face. You know, in Asian culture they have that face, keep face. So emotional release and things like that is a bit too raw, perhaps, for their culture. You know, but deep breathing to me is like a truth serum. People can hide under faces, you know, but once you do that head massage, you get people deep breathing. It's a truth serum, and the body is a truth serum. So that's why for me, it was great learning Thai massage, learning shiatsu, but I also think there's limitations, some of which are cultural, in terms of deep release. And so that's where I just took what I liked from those systems, and then moved ahead with always keeping that goal in mind of the simple goal of completely ridding the body of all tension, which can be, you know, what's causing that tension could be emotional in nature. It could be a whole multitude of things, really, which is based upon each individual, you know. But the goal is to find and get rid of all chronic residual tension. And breathing is going to help. And that's where, you know, integrative breath therapy and even, like I say, with primal screaming, for example, you know, it can really help in learning how to cry and things like that, you know, because repressed emotions definitely create physical tension. So Jim has a whole, you've had quite a bit of experience with Thai massage. Jim, he runs a couple Thai massage clinics, I think, up in the Central Coast, don't you, Jim?
Yeah, that's right. So
Yeah.
we've been going since 2013.
Yep.
But
Fantastic.
Raynor definitely takes it in a different direction.
Yeah, yeah. I like Thai massage, and I love some of their stretches and, you know, like that kind of thing. And I love how they do their the prayer to the guy that brought it over. You know, there's a nice element to it, but as I say, if you're, it's not that great at getting rid of deep-seated emotions and things like that.
No, it's good for,
No.
it's a great massage technique, but there's not really much spirituality attached to it. And you're not going to release people's emotions that you can with a Raynor massage. Well, you will encounter 50% of your clients with a Raynor massage, they're going to have an emotional release.
Yeah.
And you might get that 1 out of 100 in a Thai massage. So.
Yeah, that's right. And it's not part of their training on how to deal with it or that it's a good thing. Often, you know, it's almost like they freak out if they're, which makes the person then not feel safe with the practitioner. It's very important that when somebody's having an emotional release, that they feel safe with the practitioner, that hey, this is okay, you know, this is good, you know, let it go, you know. You don't want to ever be a practitioner. Oh shit, you know, this person's crying. Oh fuck, you know, oh you're, you know, freaking out basically because a person's, you know, you need to be somebody that's there as a facilitator and an encourager of that energy letting go. And that's why I think it's, you know, it's important to feel comfortable. You know, obviously with things like anger releases, we don't want that person directing their anger towards the therapist. You know, that's not cool. I've had that done many times, and it's like you feel like somebody's like taking a big shit on you or something like that. You know, with all their energy, it's not nice at all. So you know, with anger release, it's about directing it out. You know, it's like first of all, the person owning it. You know, you never want a person to go, oh, you made me angry because of the massage. No, it's like the person needs to own their rage or own their anger and then go, I want to get rid of it. How can we do this? You know, well, take a deep breath. And if you need to scream, scream, but don't direct that scream at me. If you want to hit something, you can have a pillow or something like that the person can hit, you know, because I was mentioning last time, you know, like in Chinese medicine, the liver is where, and the liver is where we store anger, and the gallbladder is where we store resentment. But the sound associated with that is the sound of wood cracking. So that's why sometimes when you're letting go of anger, it can be, you know, chopping wood or smashing a stick or something can be a nice way to release that anger. Yeah, so yeah, it's quite interesting. I mean, I like studying Chinese medicine because each of the meridians are what they call the organ systems relate to different emotions. But again, it's not really allowed, you know, Chinese massage, again, like Thai massage and Japanese massage, doesn't go into that emotional release component very well. I've not really seen very many systems of massage except this that really get into emotional release. But, you know, integrative breath therapy, the breath work can do that. But to combine them, that's kind of what I did, was combining deep massage and working with meridians with breath work. And that's where I found it started to turn really into magical. I remember when I first started doing that, and the releases people were having were amazing. And then that was 20 odd years ago. And now it's just, you know, goes into much more depth.
Brandon, do you do Wim Hof breathing and Qigong?
I've done a bit of Qigong. I've heard a lot about the Wim Hof breathing. That's the Iceman one, isn't it? Is that the Iceman?
Yeah.
I haven't done it.
Breathe very fast.
Right. I haven't done it. I've heard a lot of people talking about it lately. You know, a lot of friends of mine are starting to get into that whole thing, and quite an interesting character from what I've seen. A couple of videos where he was sort of meditating on like completely frozen ice and stuff like that for hours and things like that. So very interesting. It's something I'd like to explore a little bit more. But the breathing I get people to do is a deeper breathing. Like a really releasing breathing, and it's deep into the abdomen. And I find that with fast breathing, I always think I've seen people do fast breathing, and it can make people actually pass out if you're not careful. So my work with people is about a deep, solid breath that's really just letting go of, you know, and connecting them deep into their belly. I think that's a really important thing, and is to connect that person, bring their energy out of their head and connect into their belly and become aware of what's going on in their belly, which to me is like representative of the subconscious.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, it's definitely something. He sounds like a really interesting, very interesting man. That's you know.
I know Art Weeks, who I train with. He's heavily into the breathing side of things.
Yeah.
And yeah, just for these guys that are maybe a bit newer, it's something that they should investigate, because yeah, it brings spiritual energy to your hands, to the healing. Hard for me to put it into words.
Well, it's in Chinese medicine. It's, you know, it's also directly related to what we call the qi. In Ayurveda, it's related to the prana, which are all basically terms for life force.
Yeah.
You know, and so it is about the breath gets the life force moving to, and like you say, to the peripheries and things like that. And so deep breathing, but there are different systems of breath work that are in, even in the yoga system. Some of them are more shallow, fast. Some of them are deeper, you know, and yeah, so it just depends on what you're trying to achieve there with the breath. But certainly with emotional release, my experience is with a deep breath going, you know, really into your belly, and then just letting go of whatever's there. But I'm not saying obviously his techniques also work, you know. Does anybody else have any questions?
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks.
Sorry, John, and was that Juanita?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, we'll take Juanita's quickly, and then we'll come back to you, John.
Sorry about that, John. Brandon, I just wanted to know, so just getting back to the big toe belly band thing, I've got one chap who has, I mean, his toes are locked solid, the big toes. He doesn't want to focus purely on the toes. So I've got a lot of release in the toe. He came in, again, from mountain biking thing. He's hit a tree. He wants his shoulder released. But majority of his tension is sitting in that big toe and in the belly band, in the stomach. So I've worked as much as he will. I'm saying he'll let me. He doesn't want to sit a whole massage on a toe, which is probably what he needs. What is your guidance? I went back up today and worked in the belly and had a lot of success there. But obviously I'm aware that if this isn't released, it's not going to go up. So I tend to work a bit and go back down, then play, then work, and just keep gently coming back without making it a prime focus. What is your guidance?
Well, you brought up some important points there. You don't have to think about it in a black and white thing, like let's get 100% release out of his big toe and then move up. What you can do is get 5-10% release out of his big toe, and then get 5 or 10% release out of his belly, and then another treatment, another 5 or 10%. So it's kind of like taking layers off, right? And obviously, if it's too much, that you don't want to work against a person. So we want to be more like water in terms of the way we're working with people, not like a sort of hammer kind of thing, you know. We're working with them, and that's really important, because if he doesn't want you to work on somewhere, then you're not ever going to be able to work with him, right? Because he's going to just be going, well, I don't want this, you know? So be flexible. As I say, head massage, we can always look at above and below an area. So for example, tightness in the belly, we look at the head, we look at the neck, we look at, and then we look at below it as well. And if he's coming though for a particular reason, you know, like you say, his shoulder's tight or injured or what have you, then you also want to make sure you're addressing that particular complaint that he's got. You know, from just what you've described there, he sounds like there's a lot of tension in him, and a lot of work, you know. One of the most important things, I think, when people first come in that state, they might just be coming for their shoulder being tight, but then you're showing that they're tight everywhere. And I think it's really important to do what I call getting on the same page as the person, right? So the first treatment I always do is what I call a guided tour. And I'm commenting as I'm working on people, because people could think, oh, that just hurts because he's touching me there. But I'm always saying, wherever it's tight, I'll be like, oh, that's tight. Oh, gosh, can you feel that? And I know they can feel it. But what I'm actually saying is, this is tight here. This is tight here. So I want people to understand, you know, that what, like bringing them in on my diagnostic, you know, my diagnosis of them, so that they kind of recognize, yes, I am tight here. Yes, I am tight here. So that they don't, you know, just think, oh, it's just, you know, like they might be 40 hours work and they're thinking they're in 2 or 3 hours, you should get them loose. You need to show them where, you know, what the job needs to be done. It's like if you're going in and quoting, you know, if you're a floor sander or an electrician in a house and you're renovating a house, you know, the person might think, oh, I just need this done. But then you see all these wires are hanging here and this. So you need to point it out to them. This is, well, this is to do a proper job. This is what we want to do. And this is the best way to do it. So
that's
very
hugely
important.
Sorry, that really validates. I've been doing that, so it really validates it. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. And I think that's just really important, because sometimes people are so unaware of their body, and they come in and might have some expectation or something like that, that you're going to do the certain thing. But you can see, because this is what we do, right? This is our job, you know, gradually you're just going to see better and better and better about tension, right? That's what we live in this world of finding intention. So, but not everybody, you know, we're often going to come to 90% of that stage you'll get to is where, 90% of the people you'll see, you'll know their body better than they do. You know, you'll touch spots and they go, I didn't realize I was so tight there. I didn't realize I was so tight there. You know, yeah, you're tight here, you're tight here. And you want to explain to them, okay, yes, I understand your shoulder is giving you a problem and, you know, whatever, you're feeling that. But this is coming, can you feel this? Can you feel, and this is coming from this finger, and you feel that, and see how that joint doesn't move properly. Well, the end of the band is here, and that's coming into the back of your shoulder where you're really feeling it, or the, you know, the top of your shoulder. So you trace the bands while telling them, oh, like, oh, do you feel this? Do you feel that? You know, and most of the time people are going to, you know, go, yes, 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 unless there's a few weird exceptions, like I mentioned last time, when people are on painkillers and, you know, you're sitting there feeling all this tension and expecting it all to, the person to go out and go, oh, you know, that's sore or whatever. And they're going, no, I don't feel anything. You know, that's because they're on painkillers. And so you got to watch for things like that. People on painkillers, you know, they're not going to give you that feedback that, oh yeah, that's tight or that's sore. You're like, well, this should, and everybody else I worked, this level of tension, you know, has a certain degree of discomfort or pain associated with it. But not everybody, and you can't always use pain, because some people just react differently to pain. That's like, it all feels good, but it doesn't, you know. So it's more about just pointing out where they're tight more than where it hurts even, you know. But you want to point that out, so then people are on board with you about what your treatment plan will be. You don't want, you know, it to be where, well, the person's saying, I had a tight shoulder and all they wanted to do is work on my finger. Made no sense to me. You know, you need to connect the dots, basically, so that they're on board, because then their mind can relax and they can do what they need to do, which is to deep breathe, and let you do what you need to do, which is to find and get rid of tension. You don't want them kind of, you know, questioning, why is she doing that? Why is she doing that? You want to fill that in, especially that should be on the first, the second, third treatment, you know. And by that stage, by the third treatment, the fourth treatment, hopefully the person just goes, well, they know what they're doing. I trust them, and I'll shut my mind up and let them do what they need to do. But that's where you,
So that's also helpful, because this chap just had was his second coming up to surgery, second on him, and he was, you know, only chiropractor's work, and actually, but I'll give this a go. And after this one, he said to me, because I did exactly it, felt the thing, said where the tension was, went back and released what I could. And today he came and said, well, actually, I didn't really realize that, you know, I've woken up and my hand hasn't been numb every day. I didn't realize that I couldn't feel my hand every day until this week when it was gone. And I haven't had a headache one day this week, and I didn't realize I had daily headaches. So I think that he is coming more on board.
And it's about, like I say, body awareness. I mean, look, he didn't even realize his hands were numb, that he was having headaches, you know. No. I mean, this is how, you know, and this is really common. People don't really understand their own body. You would think that they do, but people don't. You know, how many people know that they got tight big toes? How many people know that their belly's tight? You know, some people do, but a lot of people don't, you know, until you point it out. They're like, wow, I never knew that. What's that?
Yeah, I said they do know about big toes when we touch them in Raynor.
That's right. Well, I call it a truth serum. You see that you can't hide if you're doing a proper Raynor massage, because, you know, we will find your tension, you know. And then it's a question of, do you want to get rid of it? If you're a good Raynor therapist, you should be able to find tension in a person. And then it comes down to that person. You know, do you want to get rid of this tension or not? Because that's their choice. It's not yours as the therapist. That's where they need to be a green light, and you need to be kind of also ready to let go in the sense, you know, not get it. You don't want to get caught up in your ego. I'm a great therapist. Everybody I work on has an amazing release, because then you're taking that responsibility for the person being a green light, which will not work. So that's a really key thing. But your goal, your responsibility as a therapist is to find and show them exactly where they're tight, right? And explain to them. And then their job is to go, yes, I want to get rid of it, and I'll breathe with you.
I was going to say, and can one be that blunt? I mean, I tend to call a spade a shovel. I just, can one say, here's this tension. Can you want to literally ask, do you want to get rid of this? Oh, you know, straight
if
down.
My battery dies, sorry, my battery just said it's low. I will go back on my iPhone to continue this, but I don't know why. I thought this was charging when it's on. Give me just 1 second, okay? But yes, I would be blunt.
Okay.
Ty, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ty, I just want to come back to a question you were asking before with Brandon, when you were asking about how hard to press people.
Sure.
Every single person is going to be totally different. So you might do someone at 10 in the morning, press them what to you is your level 2, and they scream and jump off the table. The next person that comes in 1 hour later, you might press 6 because you've adjusted, and they can't even feel it. So everybody's going to be totally different. And you just got to talk to that person. What is your level? So we were taught, like, try and keep the pain at around a 6 or 7. And if it goes above that, then they'll soon let you know. Or you'll see it with their breathing as well.
Yeah. Thanks.
Brandon, I've got to take my daughter to school, and then I've got to organise the shop. So goodbye, everyone. Good luck.
Bye,
Lovely
Jim.
to see you again.
Bye.
Yeah, nice to see you, and I look forward to seeing you at the advanced course there in Sydney.
Yeah, that'll be beautiful.
Yeah,
See you,
great.
mate.
Okay, bye. I plugged it in, so I'm good. John, you had a question.
Yes, I've got a question regarding elderly people. I'm going to be massaging my father-in-law this afternoon. He's 80 years of age, and just a question in regards to how hard, how soft, with the little micro adjustments with the fingers and the toes. I recently watched a video. I think you were massaging your uncle.
Yeah, he was 96.
Yeah, so I was watching it, you know, but I think having the confidence with, I know that they're just older people. I wasn't sure unless they have certain issues with, you know, that are contraindications, you know, that we might do. But I was just more leaning towards how do you find as a new therapist that sort of middle ground with the elderly? You know, in how hard you press or with the micro adjustments with the fingers and toes and adjustments with the hip.
Yeah, I think it's, again, make the massage suit the person, you know. I was surprised, like that was the first time I'd massaged my uncle, and I was surprised how much pressure he could take. He was in actually pretty good condition compared to, like, I massaged this lady, Phyllis. We've got a few videos on that from when we first started, and she could handle a lot of pressure, but it would quickly reach her pain threshold. But she loved getting Raynor massage, and we started massaging her like 5 years ago. She was actually on the committee of the hall that we hired here in Gympie, and she just came in one day and was changing the toilet paper or something in the hall, and it was like, oh, what are you guys doing? And we're like, well, why don't you come to our student clinic? But she had a lot of varicose veins everywhere, and it was like full on, like working on her. But she absolutely loved it, and she's been getting Raynor massage now for like 5 years, going and seeing one of my students. And it's like literally she looks younger even 5 years later than she did, you know, 5 years ago. It's actually made her look like 10 years younger. And a lot of her arthritis has gone away, you know, but she was so tight, it was just unbelievable. And we can only work, you know, when I say 10 to 40 hours for most people, when you're looking at reversing.
Oh,
No, he's gone.
No, he's gone. You're the host now, Ty.
Apparently so. So ask me anything, I won't answer you.
Oh,
Oh
gosh.
dear. Oh, I wonder if we've gone some, oh, no, but then we wouldn't be online. Sometimes you go past the time limit allowed and then it just cuts it out, but then we wouldn't be
Yeah.
here, would we?
Yeah.
So,
I wonder,
John-
do we just wait for him to log back on, or do we?
I
Yeah.
would, maybe his phone's gone flat as well.
Yeah.
He might come back. Ty, whereabouts in the UK are you?
I'm in Wales, in Cardiff.
Okay, oh, brilliant. All right, yeah, no, I was up there the other weekend. That's handy.
Oh yeah. All right.
Yeah, yeah. So dropping my boyfriend's son off at university. So,
All right. Where
another
in
thing.
Cardiff itself?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
fantastic. Oh,
And
wow.
guess what? I'm buying a
Yeah.
little house north of Cardiff,
Really?
Oh my goodness.
Bargo, above in a village.
Bargoed. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, Bert, there are so few
Exciting.
Raynor massage therapists and enthusiasts here, so please look me up when you move here, and if you're coming this way, please
I
look
know,
me
I've
up.
written it down now. And it's Beata, hey, it's a time Beata. Brilliant.
Mm.
I will do.
So you're in Cardiff, Wanta, and Ty is in
No,
Cardiff
Ty's
as
in Cardiff. I'm in Reading, so it's an hour west of
Reading.
London.
Yeah, at the moment I'm in London.
There you go. So
Mm,
yeah, it's good to
Great.
connect up, isn't it?
yeah.
So I think next time we go and fetch them from university, I think I'll send them up 2 hours early and they can pack the car and I'll come and see one of you guys.
That's great.
Hi guys, sorry I got cut off there.
Oh,
I thought I
well,
had the battery all plugged in and everything, but then it just died on me. So now I got to plug in.
we've
Yeah,
been
so-
holding the fort and arranging massages.
Oh, good. Yeah, so I was saying, working on Phyllis, for example, it's just been like we make 1 or 2% progress each time, but to see her over months, her doctors couldn't believe it because she was basically about to go into a wheelchair. And then like they don't really see arthritis being reversed, in elderly people. It just gradually gets worse until, they can't walk anymore. And her arthritis was getting reversed and her doctor was coming and seeing my student and everything like that. So, but it's just a case of working with each particular person. And then like I said, I was surprised. I thought my uncle would be in worse condition than what he was. And also I worked on my aunt, his wife, and she handled it really well. And she was, not as arthritic and tight as Phyllis was. So again, it's, just because a person's elderly, it's make the massage suit the person, find the tension, figure out what they can handle. You don't want to put them off, work within their capabilities, but I always say never massage a concept, and a concept is an elderly person, because that's not an individual, so we're all individuals. And some people have really looked after themselves. Some people don't get as tight as other people. Maybe it's their way of, dealing with the world, their emotional responses to the world. So I would just, don't be scared. Just, work. You might have to go very gently with the person. I remember working on one guy and I'd go about 1 or 2 out of 100 in terms of pressure. And that was his maximum. But then other elderly people, like I say, with my aunt and my uncle there, they could handle quite deep pressure.
Well, he's a farm worker, so he's gonna. I think he's gonna be really tough all over. So it's gonna be, I think, a good challenge for me too. But I just want to try to find that middle ground. And and just on arthritis, you did mention in the past. I saw a video that it's just a built up of tension over time. Is that how you view it?
I view it as a buildup of tension, but also some sort of, people talk about calcification of joints. So with tension comes like an acidifying effect upon the blood. And what I see with arthritis is that those acid, whether you call them acid crystals or, because when you massage the tips of fingers and tips of toes, sometimes you'll feel like it feels like grains of sand under there. But to me, those are crystallized acids of some sort, and I'm not an expert on exactly what they are, but in terms of the arthritis, what happens is over time, they just keep building up around joints. And sometimes those joints become so stiff that they feel like they're fused together. And that's the danger of allowing it to go too long. So it's like to me, it's not just the tension, it's some sort of chemical reaction that takes place over time with tension, which makes things acidic and then produces these, and I believe it's some form of calcium deposits that then like literally make the joints where you feel like you can't move them at all. Yeah. And that's what you see more commonly in elderly people who have never had much massage. It can go past what I call the point of no return, where you just feel like, well, what can I do here? I can't loosen this joint at all, you know? And that can be the case sometimes. You just got to go, well, the damage has been done. You just do the best you can. You know, that's all you can ever do. You know, that's always just a good approach. Don't look, you know, think about perfection or anything. Just do the best you can to help that person get rid of tension. And you're going to learn things and you're going to try different things. And everybody's a bit different, but that's sometimes what I've seen with arthritis. If it gets too bad, you can't, it's actually like, feels like joints can become fused together. Yeah. That's why it's an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. It's much better to prevent the buildup of this tension than it is to wait until, you know, somebody's really arthritic, because when they're really arthritic too, it's going to be really painful. So you're having to moderate your pressure and everything, and it's going to take a lot of time. So much better just to keep a person loose. You know, I always talk about the difference between excavation and maintenance. You know, like when we first work on somebody, we're excavating their tension, you know, and if that person's, you know, 30, then we're excavating 30 years worth of tension. But if that person's 80, we're excavating 80 years worth of tension. But that 80 years worth of tension can also done permanent damage to the person that is very difficult or impossible to reverse. So that's why it's much better off getting somebody, even as children, you know, like I massage my children, keep children loose and until the whole time. And then you're just doing a bit of an excavation, but mostly you're doing maintenance, which is to keep them at a loose stage. And then their whole life is going to be better. So that's why it's, you know, the ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure approach is much better. But of course, that's a very idealistic world. And, you know, people, you know, especially in their 80s, massage was not part of society to a large extent, or it wasn't a large part of most people's health routines. It was unusual back then, you know. So, like you say, just do the best you can.
Yeah, and I think he's only just had, I think, two massages and one chiro treatment his whole life. So he's not really, you know, he's one of those, you know, men like, you know. So I was just trying to gauge on how I should really deal with it. But I think I just look, as I do, I look into things too much, and I'm just going to try to just flow with it.
Yeah, just flow with it. And if something works, it works. And if you feel like what you're doing isn't working, do something else. You know, my suggestion would be start with a head massage. But, you know, some people, he might not like that. Do you know what I mean? So always think about building the bridge of trust with that particular individual. Okay. And you know, I always say that, you know, we got the weird and the wonderful with people, right? You know, that's the art form, is we're not dealing with a hunk of meat. We're dealing with a person in a hunk of meat. Yeah. And we need to work with them to get rid of their tension in the hunk of meat, you know, but we've got to connect with that person. And that's why I say connect with a person, show them what where you figure their tension is. Hopefully you get on the same page. Because if you don't get on the same page, if a person's like, oh, that I'm not tight where you're showing me, then to me, that's a red flag. Yeah. And you're kind of going, well, if you can't get on the same page, then I don't recommend you work with that person to any degree of depth, you know? You know, you could work very superficially or something, but, you know, really it's not a good thing working with somebody who is like denying that they're tight in an area where you're obviously finding tension. I think it's a recipe for disaster or at least a bad treatment. So get on the same page, figure out who he is, you know, just, you know, connect with him. And, you know, whether sometimes you might use humor, you know, you might not use humor. It depends on the culture, right? Like, but you just want him to feel relaxed with you, first of all, and then with the massage, you know?
Yeah. Thank you. Just quickly also, do you have any advice, like when you were starting out as a therapist and you were just pumping out clients after clients, is there any self-care that you recommend us doing because obviously Raynor Massage, it's doing it with art. It's intense, like from 45 to an hour. It just goes like that, right?
Yeah.
But you're giving so much of your energy to that client as well. And then, you know, I was thinking, if you start off at a massage shop or wherever you start off, how do you sort of maintain and give yourself a bit of self-care with these weapons? You know, how do you help yourself as well, dealing with everyone else's energy coming onto you? And
well, I think you need to make sure that you're receiving a massage on a regular basis, you know, more so than like once a month or something. You need to figure out how much are you picking up. Like if you're picking up 1 or 2% of the energy that you're getting rid of in that person, that's going to build up. You know, 20 hours of massage, you picked up 20 or 30% of the tension that you've gotten rid of. You want to make sure you're getting a massage. That might be you spending some time, you know, massaging yourself. It might be, you know, you going and having a spa. Or, I like water. I like swimming. You know, I like putting my hands in the earth as well in terms of getting rid of energy. I find gardening a great way in connecting with the earth. But in the end, it's like you've got to make sure you schedule in a massage. I think, you know, that's how I've done it. I make sure that I get massages as well as give them. I don't think
I'm 40 minutes away from me now, so that's good.
Yeah, that's right. So, you know, like if you're doing 15, 20 hours a week of massaging other people, I would certainly recommend that you get 1 hour of massage a week at least, you know, because, you know, it's not going to harm. It's only going to put you in a better space. And what the other thing is that I found when I gave a lot of massage and didn't give some, I started to not appreciate what I did as much. And then I'd get a massage and I'd go, oh, this is so good. And I'd really come back then with my next massages with a lot more heart energy and more enthusiasm to help people, just because I realized how important it is, you know. So that's something else, you know. You've got to be a living example as best you can of desiring to get rid of your own tension. And actually doing this kind of work does build up tension quicker than a lot of other jobs does. So, you know, it's an element that we're caring about people, and therefore we're sacrificing ourselves a little bit to give other people, but we don't want to sacrifice ourselves to the point where we're just, you know, worn out and exhausted, right? We're no good to anybody. So make sure that you know, get a regular, that's the biggest thing I can say. Obviously there's things like, you know, doing some yoga or some stretching, you know, like I'm often stretching my hands, and, you know, I'll be just sitting somewhere and I'll click my fingers, you know, and I'll stretch my fingers back and, you know, pull my joints and things. So there's a fair bit of self-care that you can do as well. But it's never quite the same as getting a good treatment from somebody that's actually good at what they do, because the frame of mind that you're in when you're receiving a massage is to be, you know, going inside yourself and relaxing and breathing into your belly. And you can't do that and give a massage at the same time. You know, giving a massage is your frame of mind needs to be kind of focused on the other person and, you know, paying attention to what you're doing. So it's the opposite of what you need to be when you're receiving massage. So yes, you can do it to yourself to a certain extent, but it doesn't take the place of a good therapist working on you.
Brandon, on the same question, one of the things I've seen you do on your videos is occasionally just like flick, I don't know, energy away or something like that. Do you actually feel the accumulation of something, or is it just an automatic process for you now? Tell us about that.
Well, absolutely, I feel it. And that's one of the things to avoid picking up energy as much as possible is to become aware of it, first of all. Because if you're not aware of it, it'll come, you know, and you'll pick it up without even realizing it. For me, I do a lot of things when I'm working on people to not pick it up. And one of them is flicking it off. Another thing is using towels. So I do a lot of massage on people's feet, hands, and also head using a towel, because if I've pushed a lot of energy to their head and then I massage their head with my fingers, I pick it up. So I actually use a towel as like a sponge, in a sense, to pick up that bad energy rather than it coming into me. And then of course we're going to, you know, clean the towels after each treatment, of course. But yeah, and I also do a lot of deep breathing when I'm massaging people. Obviously making sure I'm not breathing on the person, but I'm processing as much of that energy that I'm picking up right away. So it might come in through my hands and then I'm breathing it out and then I'm flicking it off. So I'm doing everything I can to minimize the amount of energy I pick up from people. Of course, we can't make that 100%. We are going to pick some up. And then I use a really good soap afterwards. So I use a soap, like I like that Dr. Bronner's peppermint soap, but I also use sometimes some soaps with like lemon myrtle in them, which is an Australian plant. I actually got a tree growing in the back that's really good at getting rid of bad energy. So having a good soap, but yeah, you can check out this guy, Dr. Bronner. He was a bit of a mad, kind of an eccentric soap maker, but his soaps are really popular, and he has these bottles with all of his writings of his philosophy on them. But ever since I've used his soaps, I've found them one of the best at getting rid of the bad energy that I pick up as well. But I also like doing things like if you're near a beach or something like that, using sand and doing a sand rub. So I'll get sand and I'll rub my hands with the sand, and I'll rub my whole body with sand, and then go for a swim. That's probably not so easy in England or somewhere like that, but probably for that month of August, you might be able to, but sand is great. Soil, just getting your hands in the garden and things like that as well. A sauna can be good for getting rid of bad energy. Yeah, but different things like that. But it's imperative, like I call it, our own hygiene, right? Because if we don't look after ourselves, we'll become completely immersed in other people's bad energy. I actually call what we do being a glorified sewage worker, because basically we're working with other people's crap is how I look at it. We're working in their bad energies. We're completely trying to get rid of the bad energy out of them. But to me, it's like sewage, and we have to avoid, picking as much of that up as possible. But I haven't mastered the art of not picking up any bad energy from people. So we have to then go, well, what are we going to do as we pick it up? How are we going to get rid of it? And those different things have helped me, but you can't take the place of getting a regular massage yourself.
Yeah.
Brandon, can I ask you, were you saying, was it lemon myrtle? What was the oil that you found was good?
Well, I like a soap by a guy named Dr. Bronner, Bronner. Yeah, Bronner. And I prefer, he's got about 6 or 7 ones. My favorite for getting rid of bad energy is the peppermint one. And the next one is this eucalyptus one. It's basically a Castile soap with like really natural oils in it. But the peppermint really, I find, is really good at getting rid of the bad energy. Okay, brilliant. So you could Google it. It's a bit expensive, but it's well worth trying and seeing if you like it. Having a good soap, sounds a bit bizarre, but because we're constantly dealing with other is one of the most important things as well. Mm-hmm. Having a soap that doesn't just clean on the surface, but cleans energetically is so important. So yeah, lemon myrtle Castile soaps, or this Dr. Bronner's peppermint soap. They're the best ones I've found so far. Thank you. You're welcome. And has anybody else got any questions before we finish up?
Yeah.
Yes, Lisa.
Okay. How to get clients to breathe deep, really, even if I use deep pressure and like maybe some ecstatic music to dance at first, or offshore meditation, and to relax. And let's say someone, is just not able to breathe deep because it's the most unnatural thing for this person.
Yeah, that's a good question, and it can be quite tricky. But I would definitely start with a head massage, and then I would do assisted belly breathing. I'm not sure if it's hard in the online course to really teach assisted belly breathing, because it's a very fine art to how to do that. It's something I do really cover in my advanced courses as much as possible. But if you watch some of my videos on YouTube, you'll see how I work with the breath, and I get people to take a deep breath in, and then I at the end of their out breath, so not as they breathe out. As they breathe out, I might just do a bit of gentle shaking. But at the end of their out breath, I'm gradually increasing the pressure and getting that breath out. So then they have to take a deeper breath on the next breath cycle. So the more you can get people to breathe out, they want to take a deeper breath on the next cycle. So it takes some time, and that is going to be the way to do it. So it's basically encouraging them. You can talk to them and say, I want you to breathe into your belly button, but then basically you're getting rid of that tension through and it's done through assisted belly breathing, and it's done with a loose wrist, so you're not pushing. You never want to make it where the person's going to tighten up against you when you're doing assisted belly breathing. It's going to be a loose wrist that's kind of bouncing with the person.
Mhm.
And then, but it's not always going to work with every single person.
No.
There's some people I've worked with where I just cannot get them to deep breathe. And in my
Yeah.
opinion, what I think what that is that people are holding a lot of emotional issues in their belly and also control issues like we mentioned before, and they don't want to let them go. They're so built up a particular idea of who they are, you know, which can be built up over decades to fit in, perhaps. You know, this, if I act like this, or if I become this type of person, people will accept me. And it's very scary for them to actually go in and let that go, because it's like letting this whole mask of who they are to go. And not everybody wants that, or is everybody ready for that, because deep belly breathing will crack all what I call the false personas and the masks of who people are. And not everybody wants that, so they'll resist that. So again, you can only do so much with people, and in the end, they got to really want that. But the assisted belly breathing is what's going to help if they're ready for it, if they are a green light.
Yeah, it's about trust as well, earning their trust.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Building a bridge of
deep
trust.
connection.
Deep connection. That's what I call the bridge of trust. The bridge of trust is a deep connection with the person. It's basically a spirit to spirit connection. And it's about them feeling comfortable with you, but also comfortable with themselves. Because especially when you connect with their belly, like I say, it's like they might have developed this false persona of who they are because, you know, it's safer for them to not be in touch with their deepest feelings and to be more like a superficial version of who they are in order to be accepted. And they, you know, there's complications like that can be there. And so, like I say, it's not just about trusting you, it's about trusting themselves.
Yes.
And that, you know, and allowing and wanting to be more true to themselves and wanting to let go of whatever it is that may have developed over their childhood or their young adulthood or whatever it is, where they've lost touch with who they are because maybe they're scared of not being accepted socially. Maybe people have been hurt, you know, people have been hurt by being judged or that sort of thing. And so they built up these barriers. They built up these, where energy goes up to their head instead of being able to sit in their belly. That's a common thing. The energy goes to the head and then it becomes hard as well, which is tension. Because in between the head and the belly is our heart chakra, you know, and that's it should be a soft area. But when people have been hurt, you know, the idea of hardening the heart, etc.
Yes.
But again, that person has to be a green light and then assisted belly breathing, and they need to trust you, and they need to trust themselves, and they need to trust the process of coming back to who they are and want that. Like I say, some people would rather die than actually heal, you know, because they're so used to being a certain way. And it's scary. I've had a lot of people say that, you know, going deep inside themselves and healing can be scary. Because it's an internal journey. And for some people, that's too much. It's just scary, you know? What are they going to find under there?
I had a client a few years ago who said he would rather die than scream, make a sound, even if you cut his finger. Yeah. He would never make any sound of a releasing sound at all.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. For some people, it's like they'd rather die than do that, you know. And it's like, well, it's going to happen, but that's not a healthy approach to life, you know. And somewhere in his childhood, he was told, you're not a man, or you're not, you know, for some reason, don't cry, don't make a noise, don't do this, don't do that. That's what I call thought viruses. And sometimes these thought viruses get really lodged in there because, you know, for whatever reason, you know, a person is insecure about who they are. And so they're going to let somebody else define what it means to be a man to them, for example, you know, and that's common with boys and things like that. And that's keeps them out of touch with their hearts. And it's a way to control people actually in the army and places like that too. But yeah, you'll see that. So you can massage that, you know, you can encourage, you can, you know, but you can't lead the horse to water, but you can't always make him drink, you know. So You can do the best you can. But they have to make that decision to kind of go, this is good. Because otherwise what happens is people become like a pressure cooker. Like if they never let anything out, like he probably feels the same way about crying, right? He's never going to cry because, you know, never make a sound, never cry, never let anything out. Yeah, it's a, yeah, I'm not sure.
Blocked throat chakra.
Yeah, blocked throat chakra, you know, and it's a form that people do to disempower other people too. Don't say anything. Sometimes parents will do that to children, you know, or whatever it may be. So it can be quite deep in a person's psyche where it's like an imbalance occurs when somebody's quite young, and then these other imbalances occur from that. It's like a, you know, the roots of it go quite deep.
Yeah, I've got a prime example right now. I didn't realize I think I'm very expressive. I think I'm true to myself. But what you're saying there, so I struggle to let things go in sound. And when you just said it, so when I in the war, when the terrorists were there, we were told, do not make a sound because you'll be heard. And I've only just realized now, because to me, I've got thyroid problems, and I keep thinking I've done everything to work on expressing myself, and I've never made that connection until now, that if you make a noise, you're going to get killed. So that is incredible.
Yeah.
So thank you to both of you, because now that makes sense. I think maybe like other people, if they're not having conversations like this, you're just not going to ever realize the connection.
And, you know, that may have been appropriate in that circumstance, but it doesn't mean it's healthy long term, you know, like you know, you're no situation, you know, and now you can let go of that. There's probably a lot of anxiety and a lot of, you know, emotion that needs to be let go of now that you're not in that situation.
Yeah, huge.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, it was only Beata saying that. So thanks, Beata. She's still there.
Yeah, welcome. And Brandon, I have another question, quick.
Yeah.
You mentioned integrated breath therapy. That I understand it's a kind of some special treatment or technique.
Yeah.
Because I've been to a workshop recently called transformational breathwork, and it's about like inhaling in through the mouth and out. And in the process, discovering, like exploring the muscles and this, you know, in the belly, like every muscle, parts and the space between inhale and exhale, where we are holding on and what's held on and everything. And it's like an ocean wave, continuous. So I wonder what's the difference, and you can say something about it.
I don't know about that particular. There are a lot of people doing breath work in different ways, you know. But for me, like I say, with the integrated breath work that I did, it was more about like deep breathing into your belly and then letting go. You know, feeling whatever it is that you're holding in there and letting it go. You know, for me, it was I had a lot of anger and rage and different things from when I was a teenager and used to get bullied and beaten up and things like that, you know, and I let that go, and that was causing me a lot of problems, you know. So I'm not sure, but it wasn't like specific, but it was more, you know, deep breathing through the mouth, but it wasn't like a fast one or anything like that. It was more just about going deep inside your belly, and you know, working from there basically. And that to me was really effective at letting go of these deep-seated emotions, you know. But I can't, there's a lot going today. There's a lot of different people using different breathing techniques that I don't know all the ins and outs of, you know. How did you find it when you did your workshop? Was it effective?
It was at least I discovered where I'm holding tension. And so I'm just more like brings more and more awareness every day to my breath.
Yeah, that's one
progress,
of the key things.
Progress for me.
Progress, that's good. You know, awareness is the key to is the first step of letting go. Like if we're not aware of where we're holding tension, we're not going to let that go, you know. You know, because we don't even know it's there, right? So breath will help us to become more aware of things, and then just, you know, conscious awareness, like coming into our body and just feeling like am I holding tension in my hands? Am I holding tension in my feet? Am I holding tension here? You know, so doing like a meditation, like yoga shavasana, they do that. It's where you lie down and you're going like a guided tour of each part of your body and consciously letting it go and using your breath to do that. But even with massage, that's why I say the first treatment is kind of like a guided tour of showing people where they're tight and then getting them to deep breathe. And a lot of people go, I had no idea, you know, I was tight here. I had no idea. It was shock. You know, some people, it's quite a shock for them to realize how tight they are everywhere. And that's why you got to make sure that people, when you're massaging them, they don't just go, oh, that hurts because, you know, you're touching me. It's like, no, this is tension. This hurts because you're tight here. Yeah. So that's a really important thing.
Brandon,
yeah.
You have a certain flow that you with the chopsticks. I get when the root, just say with the thumb, for example, that's obviously the end point where you always go to, just here. But is there a certain flow? Because I was just having some fun last night and just using the wife as the guinea pig and just playing with a thumb band, but I was just finding it hard to find a certain flow, but going left or right. Do you just go with it? Is there a starting point and a finishing point, and then you go back to the belly when you're trying to release a certain tension for, let's say, for the shoulder? I'm finding it hard to find a good flow with the chopstick work and like going to and from certain areas on the thumb. Is there a certain way that you starting off to work with, or just to keep something simple, just to remember?
Yeah, you know what I would recommend, interesting, Christy's here, but I was working on Christy's sister, and she had a very tight frozen shoulder, and I spent like 80% of my time on her fingers and thumbs. And we've got that on a YouTube video. So it's Brandon Massaging Brook. There's about 5 of the videos, and it'll cover exactly what you're talking about. And I think if you watch that, you'll see I spend a lot of time, but there's a lot of precision work at the very tip and then working along the sides of it. But I think you'd probably get a lot out of watching that video. Not just a video, it's a playlist. If you do the playlist, so that, because then you'll see each video after another rather than randomly getting part 3 or something, you know?
Yeah.
If you can't find it, let me know and I can send it to you. But if you do a search in my YouTube channel for Brandon Massaging Brook, and we completely freed up. She'd had a frozen shoulder for many years, and by the end of it, it was pretty much completely gone. Okay. So that'll get a great idea on working on frozen shoulders.
Sure. Thank you.
No problem. And Dash, in regards to the chart, if you go onto our website, raynormassage.com, there should be like a shop, and then you can find the charts there. I was just trying to look for the link of it, but I couldn't do that while I was paying attention. But if you can't find it, I can definitely send you that link as well.
Sure, no, I'll check the website out. Thank you very much. Yeah, cheers.
Oh, no problem. No problem at all.
Hi, Brandon.
Hi, Christy. How are you?
Good. I have been listening in and it's been amazing. Unfortunately, I have to go take the kids to school now, so I will be watching the rest later. I've got it recorded.
Yeah.
Bye,
good.
everyone.
Okay.
Bye. I hope you have a fantastic day, everyone, and good luck with your journey.
Yeah,
Thank
Christy's. We'll have to hear from you at one about your journey, Christy.
Oh, of course. Love to.
When you got more time.
Yeah, sorry. It's just school run now. I've just got to run.
I understand. All right.
All right. Thank you so much. Have a lovely day.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
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 Great. And so yeah, Dash, how are you going with everything?
I've been working on myself, in fact, quite a bit. I've got a bit of an issue on my left shoulder, so it's something that's I felt I've tried so many different things. I've tried the bowing technique. I've tried different styles of massages, go into places. I've tried physio, I've tried loads of different things, but I haven't managed to kind of shift it. So I'm actually I'm mainly working on my arm, but I have been working on areas of clients. It's mainly their hands and their toes I've been working on, in fact, for tightness, for calves, and for yeah, just like shoulder pain, trapezius pain, and that kind of thing, really. Just a basic kind of pain that I've been trying to, yeah, that's where I've been kind of trying to work out the bands and trying to understand a bit more about how the bands work, what they are even, and just where the point of travel of the end of the band. So I've been trying to work towards the end of the band because I'm thinking in my head that we need to release attention from the end so everything else can kind of shift out the body.
Yes,
right?
well, that's right. That's
Yeah.
right. And as I say, if you, again, I would highly recommend, especially you mentioning you had some shoulder pain, you know, you're in London, aren't you, Dash? You
Yes.
mentioned, so, you know, you might even want to, because Ty, are you in London or just outside of London, or?
I'm in Cardiff, so
in Wales, okay.
Yeah.
Well, beat us in London. You may guys want to, you know, do a swap or something.
Yeah, that would be great. That would be amazing. Yeah. Yeah.
And practice. I would recommend watching that video that I mentioned about Brooke and about, because I do a lot of detail on her fingers that I then follow up in a very systematic manner to then completely free up her shoulder. Oh, I'm just getting a smoothie brought to me here by my daughter. So yeah, I would recommend looking at that and then practicing that on each other to really get that, because it was one of those treatments that was just, yeah, it was a wonderful treatment. You know, she had a fairly high pain threshold, but to see somebody who'd had a chronic shoulder problem she was on pain medication and it was really affecting her emotionally as well, you know, with depression and things like that. And to see it all free up, it was just, you know, and I think you guys will find that really interesting. And Juanita, are you in London, did you say?
I'm Reading, so I'm about an hour west of London.
Oh, great.
So,
well, maybe
yeah,
you guys could you know, it's just so important to have other people you can work with and practice on, and other people, you know, because otherwise you're giving out, but you know, you'll learn a lot if you guys get a chance to swap with each other.
Yeah, that would be huge.
Yeah, that would be good. I'll be happy to put my email contact on the group, and if anybody wants to get in contact with me, because I live right near Heathrow Airport.
Okay, that's only 40 minutes for me maximum.
Yeah, it's on the M4. You're just off the M4, aren't you?
I'm on the M4 as well. Yeah, I am, Dash.
Yeah, so
brilliant.
I am on Piccadilly line after Hammersmith.
After Hammersmith, yeah. No, I saw that. Yeah, you were London Hammersmith. It says on your picture. Yeah. So yeah, no, that'd be great. And we can kind of like talk about stuff and work on each other and just
And I was talking with Dave Taylor just about when's a good time for me to come over and teach an advanced course in London.
Yeah.
We were trying to figure out whether summer of next year or summer of 2024 would be better. And it really just depends on how many people, you know, because obviously it costs quite a bit for me to, I usually travel with my family. And, you know, yeah, so because of COVID, he hasn't taught as many courses as he used to. So who would be interested in having an advanced course?
Yeah, I would. Yeah.
And you know, would summer of 2024 suit you guys, or sooner would be better for you, or who would
Sooner.
Yeah, I think sooner as well. Sooner the better, really.
Yeah, well, because I was thinking I could do something either like September or October of 2023, as long as I have the numbers, you know?
Yeah, okay. The only time I can't do is August 23, because I've got my son's dogs for a month because he's having a belated honeymoon. So.
Oh. No, I was thinking more like autumn might be kind of nice. So
that'd be good.
Still, yeah.
I mean, any help I could give Dave to, you know, get some bums on seats or get things moving, because obviously the more notice people have, the better. But,
yeah. And he's open either way. And yeah, so we were just, I've just been trying to figure out whether there's enough interest or not. And because, you know, like I say, I'm happy to come over as long as we got, it's a bit of a journey for us. So it's like 20 on the other side of the world. I was doing it almost every year before COVID, but I haven't been back over there with COVID. And I know people are struggling and everything over there with different economic issues and things, but yeah, well, if all, yeah.
Oh, sorry, roughly, what is the price? I think I saw on yours was a 2,000 or something, just so I've got a benchmark to save for.
Yeah. So, well, it was $2,200 is what I was charging in Canada for the advanced course. So I'm thinking probably around 1,500 pounds or something. And then we could go, if we have a decent number of people, we could go for 5 or 6 days. We could go, I'm actually restructuring everything at the moment. And I was going to be making 3 advanced courses because I realized when I was teaching in Canada recently, there's a lot I can teach and I can't cover it all and people need treatments. And so we're actually in the process of going to be having it we're going to call our courses level 1, level 2, up to level 7. And the last 3 levels will be all different variations on the advanced course. One of them will be all about the head belly connection and getting rhythm and flow moving. And then one will be about neck cracking. And then one will be about the fine details of how to really get in and release the digits, the fingers and the toes and things like that. So that I get enough time, because what I find is it's also important for you guys to experience treatments, and so what I found with teaching these in 5 or 6 days, it's actually not enough time for it's a lot. People learn a lot, but there's even more I can teach, so we could look at again making it 2 different courses, 2 different levels when we get our new structure down. But yeah, so it'd be something around that price, but.
That's helpful. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll reach out to Dave as well, Brandon. But if you're talking to him again, please let him know. I'm happy to give any support that I can.
Oh, great. Yeah, it's all just comes down to, like I say, making it, making sure we're covering our costs and I'm earning some money and, from the economic point of view, just because it is a bit of a trip, especially with my 2 kids and everything like that, and we do like to travel as a family. So. Yeah, but I'd be excited. I love teaching advanced course. I love teaching enthusiastic students, so that makes it fun for me when people are keen to go, and I'm in my element, so we'll keep it on the table, and like I say, if you guys are keen, and I can put it out there in the next Zoom meeting as well, and if you have other people that that are practicing, just let them know it's a possibility.
Yeah, there were a couple on the course I did with Dave that were asking about the advanced course.
Oh, great. I'd need a sort of minimum of sort of 8 people, I think, to make it worthwhile or something, or,
okay.
Something
well,
like
you're
that.
nearly halfway there already, right, with the people on this
Yeah,
side.
That's right. And that's why I was, just trying to figure out whether I should do it in 2023 or 2024. But, if you guys are all actually serious, then yeah, we could definitely do it.
Definitely.
Yeah, I'm thinking what's that? Pack my bags?
I said time to pack your bags, yes.
Yeah, my bags are constantly packed.
Oh my goodness.
I'm always.
I love that you travel with your family.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
I did it years ago. I did it without, and it's not really that. I don't enjoy it at all. Miss them and the kids. It's nice to come home after teaching and just play with the kids. And Ellie, my daughter, actually likes to usually pop in on one day of the class and, gets to meet everybody, and we can do demos on children. And, it's just because I think it's important to be able to massage people of all ages. Yeah. And in like I say, starting off with children is the best way, because you get them loose and you keep them loose. It's never then very dramatic. It's not like you've got this, 50-year buildup of emotional things. It's more like, well, yeah, a bit of stress happened last week. Let's get rid of that, and it's nothing major. So it's not like, it's just like you're keeping them in close to optimal condition as best you can. So plus I'm hoping that my kids will take over from me as I get older and older, and, yeah, they can come in with their young energy and we have a next generation,
I like it.
Father's dream, isn't it?
You've got to have one.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, definitely, I'd be interested in coming over.
We'd love to meet you in person.
Yeah, But in the meantime, like I say, if you want to practice, I mean, the more you guys get to practice too, the higher skill level you are. When I come over, I can just take you further, you know, instead of having to take you from grade 3 to grade 4, I can take you from grade 7 to grade 8 or whatever it may be, you know? So do what you can to practice in amongst yourselves. And like I say, I try and record stuff on video. I recorded a lot of the treatments I did in Canada, the advanced course on video. Yeah. And then, like I say, we are looking at restructuring, because I actually felt like people, you know, I could definitely do, even after my other teachers have taught, I could teach another 3 weeks. So we're looking at that, and we'll have all that sorted out. And then I can put that as the new course for, you know, for then.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Is the advanced course at Western Sydney confirmed, Brendan?
Well, as long as I've got, like I say, for Sydney, I just need a minimum of 4 people, just because I'm not crossing over the world. It's only an hour flight and that sort of thing. So I know Jim, who was here, wants to do it, and I've got 5 people saying they want to do it. I'm just going to need some deposits to make it that I know, you know, once, because I got to pay for the venue and pay for our flights and our accommodation. So I usually, you know, there just has to be a non-refundable deposit to say that, yes, I'm definitely there. Because if people pull out at the last minute, I can't always pull out of my commitments at the last minute, you know? So yeah, once people start, I put a thing on our website, and so, you know, probably as long as I've got like 4 people put down their deposits by December, then happy to go ahead with it. But if I don't, then I kind of, you know, I don't want to start booking art. It's quite expensive, actually. The accommodation is hard. I had a quick look at accommodation, and it's not that easy. So that's my main cost there. But yeah, it's not as far as London. So yeah, but you know, just let me, sooner people confirm by putting a deposit down, then I can go, yes, it's definitely going ahead.
Sure.
If you'll all excuse me, I'm going to have to go, but thanks so much for the input, Brandon, and nice to meet you.
You're very welcome, Ty.
Yeah,
nice to talk to you, and hopefully you guys can all connect up there in London and get some, you know, serious, you know, Raynor Massage groups happening. And then, like I say, the questions will just be better when I come.
Super. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
All right. I think we'll finish up now anyway, unless anybody's got any last questions.
Yes.
Karen?
Go ahead, Pete.
Okay, it's not about massage, the massage course. It's about the, you know, as I'm drinking my tea from freshly picked yarrow.
Yep.
From a meadow. And my question is about your herbalist course.
Yeah.
Is it about herbs from Australia or
Worldwide?
Worldwide.
So, you know, like we cover books like Planetary, Herbology, and things like that. So a lot of more North American and European would be the emphasis of the herbs, but also from India and China to a certain extent. So obviously you can't, there's so many plants in the world, right? And there's herbal traditions from, you know, the Amazon and from Australia. You can't ever like study in one lifetime all the herbs of the world, you know? So becoming a herbalist to me is more about understanding the concepts, and then you end up getting particular herbs. They may be ones that are, you know, grown locally or ones that you particularly like in your repertoire, but then knowing where to access things. So say, for example, somebody comes with a condition and you go, oh, I remember reading about that herb. And then you got your books that you can then refer to and go, oh yeah, okay, this herb might be good, you know? And hopefully it's easily available in your area. But, you know, this day and age, we can always get herbs from other parts of the world if we need them anyway. Yeah, so it is more of like a correspondence course. So it's more like, you know, it's about, you know, reading books and that sort of thing. Like when I studied naturopathy sort of 30 years ago, that's how I did it. I am hoping over the next 5 to 10 years to really make it where we go into the garden and I do videos about each particular herb and things like that. But at the moment, it's more just, you know, you're basically reading books and answering questions online. So it's not as elaborate or as the online massage course, or more it's not as personal, I should say. Yeah, I've picked kind of more like the best authors that I've found over many years of looking at things and introduced their books, because in some ways I love herbal medicine, but it's not as much of a specialty for me as say Raynor Massage, obviously. Yeah. But I love it. I love herbs. I actually, we have a naturopathic gardens here that we're having all sorts of different herbs and things growing and making teas and things, tinctures, and
Yes, I love that. The
Me
fresh
too.
fruit.
Me too.
You know,
Oh,
going on
yeah.
a Thames path,
Yep.
there's so many fresh, beautiful herbs there, and like Wimbledon Park, the Commons, so many
Yeah.
beautiful places around London.
Oh yeah, and the Apothecary Gardens. I love visiting when I'm in London. Have you been there?
No, which ones?
Oh, it's called Apothecary Gardens. It was set
No.
up in like the 1500s as a herbal medicine garden.
Mm.
Oh, sorry, I just accidentally.
Understand.
Yeah, and I love visiting there when I'm in London.
Mm.
All
I
sorts of
can
plants
vouch.
from all over the world. Yeah, Juanita, you had another question?
But just quickly, when you're talking about moving energy through the body, you know, into the head, into the hands, are there any specifics on massaging the back in terms of direction as a general guideline?
So generally speaking, especially when you're moving blood, so with deeper, movements, we're working towards the heart. And even with energy, we're wanting it to go out through the breath. So for example, with the fingers and the toes, we're always coming from the tips of the fingers and going this way. If you go this way, you end up pooling the energy and it feels quite uncomfortable into the tips of the fingers, the tips of the toes. So direction should be basically towards the heart and towards the lungs.
Okay, I was just thinking in the back, because you could be in the middle there, you know, if you're going up or down to complete a stroke, because the others are always worked up, but I just
Yeah.
wasn't sure in the middle.
Yeah, generally is, again, with the back, you're opposite the heart and the lungs. So, but I still work up generally
Yeah,
from the bottom of the back. It was very light, energetic movements. I might do like a kind of pulling of energy, but it's more, you're not really pushing blood or anything like that. And it's more just like getting rid of what they call raking the wei qi in Chinese medicine, and it's just opening up the flow, but it's not a deeper sort of move.
No. Thank you. Great.
You're welcome.
Good.
You're welcome. All right. Anybody else got any questions? And was this time a good time for you guys?
So good.
Yeah, perfect.
Good, yeah.
Good. So, so I'm going to be heading to New Zealand on November 10th. We could either have another meeting before that, or maybe when I get back. Probably when I get back, but if you guys are finding it useful, what do you think? Sometime or would you like I could do a meeting in early November, mid sort of that first week in November, if you guys would like, before I go.
It would be lovely if you can.
Yeah. So today's the 18th. So I know some people, I'll just check with my wife about what some people have asked if I can do one on a weekend. How would that suit you guys? Just because some people are working during the week.
As to where I am, I'm sometimes elsewhere on a weekend, but I can certainly make a plan and make sure I'm here for that.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'll try and put a meeting on then around, let me see, around like would it be the 2nd? I guess you guys are still on a Monday there, but so the 1st of November, something like that. I haven't got my calendar here in front of me, but I'll put it out. But if it was to be on a weekend, and I can't confirm this yet, but like if it was to be Saturday night for you guys, is that a bad time in England? Because people are going out socializing.
Yeah,
I guess.
sometimes it is. I'm actually going out. I usually go out dancing, so I do salsa. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So bad time, Saturday night. Yeah. Yeah. Saturday night. Yeah. Sunday night, is that a good night? Oh wait, that would be Monday here. So the people here. Yeah. Oh, maybe we'll just try and do it around the same time. If not.
Yeah, I cannot confirm anything because I'm moving home and I don't know when and where to. So
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Okay, I'll figure something out, but we'll arrange something around this time in 2 weeks.
Lovely.
Thank you.
All right.
Do your clocks
Thank
go back
you.
as well, Brandon?
Sorry, what did you say?
Do your clocks go back as well? I think ours go back end of this month. Just
That's
do your
right.
clocks change as well?
Queensland doesn't change. They got rid of. They didn't want to have daylight savings in our state.
Oh, Sensible.
So they have it in, I know like in, like Jean-Loupi's in New South Wales, and they have daylight savings. It always confuses people. There's a city on the border between Queensland and New South Wales, and they're on two different time zones, which really messes with people. Yeah.
Okay, because I think ours goes back just before then. So
Oh, it does?
I think so.
Okay.
We normally.
So what would that be? Would that make it later?
What do we call? What's this?
Yeah, it confuses me. It really does.
I think we go back now, don't we? Dash, you're from here. Help out.
So if the meeting started at 9:30 now, does that mean it'll start at 8:30 or 10:30?
8:30, I think now.
Okay. Well, maybe we
Am
can
I
do
right,
just a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's 8:30. Yeah.
Okay, well, maybe if we did like, well, then we could maybe do like 7 a.m. my time or something like that. Which would be, would 9 p.m. be all right for you guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'll look into it and I'll double check with the time zone things and all that kind of stuff.
Brilliant.
I'll try and arrange it. I won't make it any later than 9:30 p.m. in London. Does it suit you guys better at night or in the, because I could do like 5 or 6 p.m. my time, which would then be sometime in the morning with you guys as well, I guess. If we start at 6:30, yeah, like would it be easier for you guys like at 8 a.m. in the morning or something, or is nighttime better?
I can do both, except on a Monday. I've got more massages on a Monday.
Okay.
Yeah, evening works better for me.
Nighttime is better for me.
Okay, well, it's probably better for me too, for doing that the morning time, because we get our kids to sleep around 5 or 6. So, yeah, it's a bit chaotic then. All right.
Okay.
Well, lovely to see you all. And
Thank
I'll
you.
email. You're very welcome. It's always nice to connect up with everybody, and I love having different questions and things like that. So it's great to see you all.
Thanks, Brandon.
Okay.
Bye. See you.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye.